Good morning. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff, not here with the co-host Chip. Chip isn't here today. Today is Saturday, and we are going to get into it. Regulate cryptocurrency. The government taking a step further. Now, is this regulatory clarity or is this power of authority? Are they fighting over who gets to control the digital asset space? Who gets to control cryptocurrency? Who gets to dictate the outcome and the direction of this new technology, this new blockchain technology that's been around for about a decade? How is the US government approach to managing or regulating or addressing cryptocurrency? How is that going to impact the rest of the world? Will it even have an impact on the rest of the world? Because as we know, the cryptocurrency phenomenon is a global experience. It is a global technology. There are people all over the world that are getting into the cryptocurrency space. Does the US get to continue leading from the front, or do they take the approach as many of those in the US government today decide they want to lead from behind? I don't know. We'll see all of that. There's so much to talk about, though, because as we look at regulation of cryptocurrency, are they putting XRP in the crosshairs? Is Ripple in the crosshairs? Is the SEC case against Ripple just one little element of this power struggle that's going on right now in the US government? And again, does that even have any impact on what's happening on a global scale? Holy cow, that's a lot to digest first thing in the morning, because there are so many great things going on right now in the crypto space. So many great things. We see the development. We've gone over what Ripple is doing, how Ripple is furthering and developing their technology, rolling it out. We have Flare getting ready to come out. You've got Bitcoin expanding into all sorts of different countries. You have governments that are accepting the idea of Bitcoin as a store of value. How amazing is that? Hey, good morning, Sooner in SWFL, Southwest Florida, I assume, right? Chris, what's going on? And then Matt Morrow was the first to comment this morning. So anyhow, we got tons of stuff to cover. Good things, some crazy things. When are we going to get this thing going? Let's sit around. Let's see if we can kick this thing off. Here we go. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right. The one thing I forgot to mention, you have to do this. You have to do this. Run out, get your coffee, get your espresso, get your cappuccino, get your Red Bull. I don't care what it is. Run out, because you're going to need just a little bit of caffeine, give you a little bit of a boost, and we're going to dig through and we're going to get through this thing. We're going to start with Twitter. How about that? No, that's good. That is so good. I have to say, it's just outstanding stuff. You just, it's really, really amazing. And then let's check this out. Let's see if this works. This is brand new. I'm going to click this and let's see if this works. Whoa, check that out. What do you guys think of that? Brand new right here. Hit that subscribe button. Look at it. Hit the bell notifier, and don't forget to give a thumbs up. Look at that. How cool is that? How cool is that? Kudos to Chip. All right. That's outstanding. That's really cool. Give a shout as to where you guys are coming from. That's always great, because we have people from all over the world that tune in here, and we love to engage and discuss and see what people's opinions are from all parts of the world. So here we go. Let me pull this up. Let's see what we've got. This is going to be kind of crazy, because Elizabeth Warren. Now, I saw some of the comments. Chip did about 30 plus minutes solo on Thursday, and he talked a little bit about Senator Elizabeth Warren, kind of, looked at who she is, what's her history, sometimes you really have to have a good understanding of who it is that you're dealing with. And especially, it doesn't matter if you're in the US, outside the US. I mean, I'd love to learn about politicians that are outside the US that are going to have a direct impact on the cryptocurrency space. I don't need to know all the ins and outs of every country. I've studied a lot of politics over the years. I've done a lot of research into the economics of different countries, especially years ago when I was in grad school. Spent a lot of those years in grad school focused on economic development over in China. So that seems to be a topic that I was drawn to back then. But then now business kind of takes you into different directions. And I've seen the economic ups and downs of different countries, and it's very interesting. But when you get into the economics, that means you also have to look at the politics of it. And when you look at the politics of it, sometimes it could be too much because a lot of people, they don't want to get into the politics of it. But the thing is, many times though, the politics interfere with the economics, or the economics will influence the politics. We all know that. Now, not Warren Davidson, Elizabeth Warren, I get Warren Davidson on the mind, Token Taxonomy Act. You want true regulatory clarity, you go back and you see, and we're talking about the US, but you want true regulatory clarity, then you look at the bill that Congressman Darren Soto and Congressman Warren Davidson have put in front of Congress. 3 times put in front of Congress. Token Taxonomy Act to amend the Securities Act of 1933 and the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, making some other adjustments along the way. There's also some reference to IRS rulings, how you should be able to treat crypto, buy, sell crypto, what should be taxable events. However, Congress, the Financial Services Committee, where it sat 3 times in a row, the Financial Services Committee has chosen to ignore regulatory clarity, to ignore the fact that there's an amazing bill sitting in front of Congress that they could have looked at. Now, Elizabeth Warren, who, in my opinion, you guys can have your own opinion, has zero credibility from any perspective. I look at what she does from a manipulative perspective. Why? Mainly because of the fact that she's cheated her entire career. She's lied her entire career. She lied about her ethnicity. She lied about her ethnicity in order to gain one on the system, to get one over other people. She lied about her ethnicity that gave her access to school potentially. We don't know that. It's hard to tell. But she lied about that on her college application. She got positions as a professor based on that lie. She got paid $400,000 a year based on that lie. She got elected with all this lineage of lies that propped up who she was. Now, you have to understand that. You can't dispute that. It's a fact. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. It's insignificant. It doesn't matter if you're outside the US or inside the US, because we're focused on the fact that she's on the banking committee. I think she heads up the banking committee. She's now in a position where she can influence cryptocurrency. And that's crazy to me. So we're in this scenario right now. All these crazy things happen, right? It's all these crazy things are happening. I mean, if you would have asked me these questions a year ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is, I would have said this whole thing is just, those are all conspiracies. None of this is true. How can you come out and make these types of statements? Even talking about cryptocurrency, go back more than, a little over 10 years ago, and you would have been like, cryptocurrency, digital assets, programmable money, you're out of your mind. There's no such thing. There's never going to be any such thing as programmable money, but now you fast forward. So now you have Elizabeth Warren, who is in charge and issuing specific statements that, in my opinion, are coming from a position of, I don't want to say ignorance because it's not ignorance. I want to say from a position of power, of a battle of the power of authority. Those that are trying to determine the outcome of this decentralized economic space that's growing on a global scale, And so here you have some of the things that she's said, some of the things that she has done as of late in relation to the cryptocurrency space. Elizabeth Warren, Janet Yellen, and others have perpetuated this misunderstanding or this misinformation on cryptocurrency, that it is utilized for nefarious purpose, that these exchanges are arbitrarily assigning valuation to assets. Now, it's interesting because tomorrow Chip and I are going to dig through the letter that she had issued to the SEC, and there's some response to that. Today, we're going to dig into some of the other feedback. But as you dig through the letter, there's actually some important, sane points. One of them, focused on, do the exchanges truly protect the interest of their users? Is the exchange manipulating the data? Do we know that if you go onto a specific exchange, is the price point that they're showing or that they're trading on, is that an accurate representation of that price point? And in some instances, you don't know. But the thing is that the market will know. The market will out the exchanges that are fraudulently manipulating pricing or not addressing individual concerns. You can only go on for so long. Doesn't matter what the exchange is. If the exchange is in breach of protection of their client, people will stop using it, and individuals will bring class action lawsuits against that exchange. Now, another good point that is brought up, and we'll dissect this more tomorrow, is the fact that, and this is more in reference to, let's say, Binance, because they're talking a lot about Binance and referencing Binance. Now, with Binance, this is interesting because Binance, the claim is that they are everywhere but nowhere. CZ's claim is wherever he is the headquarters of Binance. Now, I have some concern with that too. I have some concern with the fact that there's not an easy access 1-800 number to call somebody up and say, hey, Binance tech support, I'm having some issues with my access right now. I can't log in. Can you help me? Binance, hello. Oh, sorry, you can't help me. Just as an example. I'm not saying they do or don't. I haven't had any bad experiences with Binance. Actually, I've had very few bad experiences with any of the exchanges. I know even Chip had an issue transferring money, or not money, transferring an asset to an exchange, and it was difficult to get in touch with them. But eventually, he got in touch with them. Eventually, they did help. Eventually, the asset was moved. It just took a long time for the asset to be moved. But if you're dealing with, let's say, a Fidelity or one of these other, I don't know, overseas, you guys can plug in whatever the stock exchange that you use in your country, whatever it is that you use. Is there a phone number that you can direct dial and say, hey, stock person, hello, stock person, I'm having an issue. I just transferred $1,000 from my account and it's not showing up. Can you help me out? And they'll be like, while you're on the phone, click, click, click. Yes. Here, I think we figured out the problem. Okay, that's awesome. And then in the digital asset space, I'm like, typing, typing, and you're sending messages and you're sending emails, and like, oh my God, I hope I can get in touch with somebody. So from that perspective, I get it. There is a little bit of concern. How easy is it to get in touch with somebody? Now, the other issue that I have, I mean, you pick up the phone here. Oh yeah, rotary dial. So you're on the phone, right? And you're dialing, right? And you're dialing, and you're like, I'm dealing with a local U.S. exchange. I can't understand you. Could you please, can you help me in English? Is that possible? What country are you in? You're in a different country and you have access to all of my data. Oh, that's interesting. All my personal data. Okay. Can you put someone on the phone that speaks English? That would really be helpful. If I'm in Spain or Germany, do you have someone that speaks Deutsch? No. Okay. All right. I don't know what to say. All right. Just kidding around. But anyhow, you guys get the point. So when it's with the exchanges, you're typing and you're sending emails and it's difficult. We need a little bit better of a customer interaction with these digital asset exchanges. Coinbase, Uphold, Bitrue, Binance, Gemini, Kraken. I don't know. There's tons of them out there, but we need just a little bit of a better access, of a better experience. I want an 800 number. I want a phone number so I can get somebody on the other end of the line. I want to be able to type maybe a little pop-up box so that I can type in a message and I can have a conversation with somebody. That'd be awesome, right? So from that perspective, hey, that's probably the only point. That's probably the only good point that I could pull out of that letter. All the other stuff was kind of phrased in these hidden ideas and hidden terms, So let's see here. Hang on a second. Good stuff. Man, oh man. What is up? What's going on here? Jimmy Young says, I want rules, policies, and regulations. I want my money and future protected. Damn straight. Damn straight. That's exactly what we want. Clarity. We don't want overzealous government officials regulating to the point of death, taxing to the point of non-existence. But what we do want is a little bit of clarity. We want clear policy. We want a clear understanding of what a digital asset, we want a clear understanding of the rules of the road of how a digital asset exchange is supposed to act. Which digital asset exchange can I work with? Is there an issue going and utilizing an exchange that doesn't have an office? I want to use an exchange that has an office. Is that a rule? Do they have to have a fixed facility? Do they have to have off-site servers that are managing your data? Where does your data go? Who's managing your data? When I apply for it and you go through the permissions and they go through their KYC and their AML, where is that being handled? How is that being handled? There needs to be some consistency in that message. That's what we should be talking about. That's protection. That's how you figure out how you protect the retail investor. Those that are talking about regulation don't necessarily have the retail investor, their best interest at heart. That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. You have to be very cognizant of where their authority ideas come from. What is the idea of what they're trying to achieve? What about the Shermanator, Brad Sherman out in California? Does he have the digital asset investors at heart? Who funds his campaigns? Who funds Elizabeth Warren's campaigns? That's what you have to figure out. I don't know. But do they truly have your best interest at heart when they're talking about regulation? Congressman Darren Soto and Warren Davidson addressed it, and they drafted this beautiful Token Taxonomy Act bill. It was great. It's a perfect start. Was it perfect in every way? No. Was it a great start? Yes, it was perfect. Here's how you're going to start. Here's how you're going to provide a little clarity. Here's how you're going to amend certain acts that were designed 80, 90 years ago, right? It's crazy. 1933. We're talking about, I mean, that's a century. That's 100 years. You don't want to break, or you don't want to fix what's not broken. But hey, you know what? It's kind of broken. It kind of doesn't work. It kind of doesn't address modern day technology. So maybe we need a better approach. Now, Elizabeth Warren throwing this bombshell after it's known that she's buddy with Gensler. It's very obvious that she didn't draft that letter. And multiple people have commented on the fact that she didn't draft that letter. But that's okay. Maybe they had a staff member do it. But it was a setup. The letter is a setup. It's softballs. Here you go, Gensler. Smash it out of the park. Do your worst. And that's not how you provide regulatory clarity. That's not how you help the retail investor. It's not. I'm sorry. So all of this stuff going on, and here we sit. So hang on a second. So here we sit. Check this out. Let me see if this works. Check that out. Whoa, Chip, look at that. How cool is that thing? Holy cow. Chip, that's awesome. That is just outstanding. That's so cool. All right, here we go. Let's go to this screen. There we go. See if we can get it up there. A little bit of commentary. Jeremy Hogan. This was from Thursday. The SEC is presupposing what Hinman's testimony will be and basing its argument on such. So this is interesting too, taking a step outside of the other part. Now I'm looking at, well, how is the SEC handling all these things that are going on? Now, Elizabeth Warren is saying, SEC, you have to make a decision on regulation by July 28th. Forget about all of the bills that have been in front of Congress. Forget about the 3 congressional sessions that have sat on the Token Taxonomy Act and could have dissected it in Congress. The very body that writes the legislation writes it. The SEC does not write legislation. The SEC can come up with some ideas, a little bit of direction based on the laws that are on the books. Since when does anybody in government, in the US government, write laws other than Congress? There isn't any, right? So this whole notion is insane. Now, this case, and Jeremy Hogan brought up such a perfect point here, right? So the SEC is basically saying that they don't want Hinman's testimony because they basically already know what he's going to say. It's crazy. So Jeremy Hogan says the SEC is presupposing what the Hinman testimony will be and basing its arguments on such. He will testify XYZ and we will object and will be a waste of time. And he brings up a good point. If the argument works, why even take testimony? If you can argue that point as an attorney in front of a judge, well, I would have brought the witness, but the witness would have said this, and we would have responded this way, and he would have responded that way, and he probably would have lied about it because he's trying to cover something up, and then he would have perjured himself, and therefore, we don't even want him here because here's our opinion. What kind of insanity, what kind of kangaroo court land are we living in where they can even come up with an argument like that? I mean, this is like not even JV. This is like freshman. This is like, you go into a sporting event and they're like, who's your quarterback? He looks pretty small. We're like, yeah, he just went into 5th grade, and but he throws the ball pretty well. So we're gonna take him, and we're gonna put him on the front lines in this professional NFL team. Or I don't know, if you're playing football, like not American football, but like proper football in the rest of the world, as you guys will refer to it all over the other parts of the world. Here we call it soccer, but everywhere else in the world it's called football. So imagine, your starter is, in elementary school. So it's crazy stuff, right? It's crazy stuff. So here, I don't know. I'm mystified about this stuff. And then we get into some of these comments. I love it. So John, look at this, spot on, right? So here, and we've had so many people comment. They're like, "Why do you guys focus on American politics so much? Why are you guys talking about we don't care. We're over in the Netherlands, or we're in Africa, we're in Asia. We don't care what your American politics are. You guys are a bunch of idiots over there, anyways." Just kidding. But they're like, you guys don't even, it's like, did you ever see the movie Swingers? That movie was amazing. If you've never seen the movie Swingers, go see it. Vince Vaughn's character, he's talking and he's like, he's talking about this woman, and he's talking to the guy, and he's like, it's like a little bunny rabbit, and you're sitting there and you got these claws, and you're like, I got these claws and this bunny rabbit, and I don't even know what to do with these claws. And this is kind of like, this is the US. This is how the US government is responding and acting to this technology right now. Like, we got the first new asset class in how many hundreds of years, and we're going to drop the ball. We're going to punt it. No, we don't want to deal with it. Oh, now we want to deal with it because they're making tons of money. All this money's moving around. People are making money. Oh, wait a minute. People are making money. We got to make sure that we overregulate it. We got to make sure that we get our tax dollars out of it. Yes. Is that what it's all about? Possibly. Maybe it's all about the tax dollars. I think it's a little bit more than that. There's some brick and mortar organization within the economy. You can't destroy hundreds of years of brick and mortar financial institutions and banking system because you have a new technology. Sorry, you can't do it. Not possible. However, you can amend and adjust the way your approach is because you have a new technology. Let's figure out how to include this new technology into our system, because guess what? The brick and mortar going away. I've read some articles. They said they're actually they pushed up this whole conversation on the CBDCs, not the CBD, but the CBDCs, right? So the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, have been pushed up by about 5 years. 5 years. They're 5 years ahead of their time right now. So that's interesting. So when were you guys going to tell us this? If it's been pushed up 5 years, everybody's like struggling and flailing and bending over backwards to trial their CBDCs and to prove that their government is ahead of time and blah, 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 whatever. But there's articles coming out now to say that it's too soon, that it's happening at rapid pace right now because of everything we just went through over the past year. Really? Is that really what it is? During this whole period of time, I still had access to my banking, but guess what? Banking requires all of this personnel, the old brick and mortar structure. Digitize it. Yes, we can do away with all of that personnel, all the human error, and you can 24/7 your banking experience. It's going to be so much better. Yes. But now they're pushing it up by 5 years. I'm glad they're breaking that to us now. Are they pushing up 5 years because of what we went through this past year? Or are they pushing up 5 years because the digital asset space, cryptocurrency and blockchain are in overdrive right now? In overdrive. Bitcoin being acknowledged as more stable than most national currencies. It's a fact. That's a fact. That's why El Salvador and was it Argentina? Where was it where they, I think it was Argentina, where they recently passed a bill to allow you to take salary in Bitcoin. All these things going on. How amazing is that? I don't care what you think about Bitcoin or not. That's irrelevant. But all of this stuff going on, and now the governments are getting on board. But when were they going to tell us? Were they going to wait 5 years? All of a sudden, they were going to drop the bombshell. Boom. Hey, by the way, we've digitized everything. We now have programmable money. And by the way, we're tying it in kind of like over in China with the digital yuan. We're going to tie your social score into it. All this stuff, man. Think about it. Go back a few years. Go back a couple years. All this stuff sounds like conspiracy theory. Go back a year ago, 2 years ago, all conspiracy theory. Is there such thing as programmable money? Can they program the digital asset space? And then you start thinking about it, like, holy crap, they can actually program money. The digital yuan is a perfect representation of what could potentially happen. And then you tie in the social scoring aspect of what's been going on over there. And then you realize, you're like, oh my God, I was talking in front of a group Thursday. And I brought this up. I'm like, do you guys realize there's programmable money? Do you guys realize that if you tie your social score from social media, tie it in with your money, now whoever's in charge of that programming as such will determine whether or not you have access to your funding? How about the bank that has decided, Barclays, hey guys, you've got $100,000 in our bank. Yes. Guess what? What? You can't spend it. Why not? Well, you're trying to move money to a digital asset exchange. We don't agree. We don't think you should move your money to the digital asset exchange, but it's my money. Maybe I should get someone on the phone. Let's see. Barclays tech support. Yes. So I'm doing this YouTube video right now, and we're talking about moving money from Barclays over to a digital asset exchange. I would like to buy some I want to buy some Bitcoin. I'm finding Bitcoin has a better rate of return right now. Hello? They hung up on me. They didn't like the idea of that. Better rate of return. Insane stuff. Man, I don't know. You guys, I'm watching your comments. Your comments are outstanding over here. So what's the coffee of the day? You know what, James? I've been stuck on Segfredo. I ordered multiple bags of it. I had a buddy of mine bring in the commercial version, the black bag of the Segfredo, the high end, the highest end version of the Segfredo. Went through that. Now I'm back to the red bag, the one you can get in the US, but still outstanding. I need to get some new coffees. There you go. Good stuff. All right. It's hilarious. Man, I'll tell you, you know who else likes coffee a lot? And I'll tell you what, man, he loves coffee, especially late at night when he's out singing. Let me show you.
Wie einst Lily Marlin. Wie einst Lily Marlin.
It's great. Outstanding. So where was I? Where do we even go? Where do we go from here? Check this out. So I was commenting on this, but this is the point, John. The rest of the world is moving on, embracing innovation and solutions. Meanwhile, a dinosaur has made a spectacular comeback in the USA. Good luck, guys. We're resurrecting the dinosaurs. How about that? I love it. Go back. Well, at the same time, why even bother trying to quash the deposition? If they already know what will be said and how they will object, just let it happen and get on with it. SEC spent more time trying to quash the deposition than the actual time the deposition would take. Another good point. Why even have a case? That you never heard of Elite Coffee? Elite, actually, Death Wish. Death Wish is awesome. I ran out of Death Wish. I got to get more Death Wish. And then Elite Coffee. Elite is a brand of coffee. Elite It's actually from Elite, is a company over in Israel, and they make an amazing Turkish coffee. Really, really good quality. But so there is such thing, but that's not, I wasn't referencing that specifically. Lavazza, you can get some good Lavazzas out there too. And there's a bunch of good coffees. So let's see. Where was I? Oh, so so what? So Canis here, Majoris is saying, why even bother? Why even bother having a deposit? Why even bother having a trial? If your attorney knows the outcome of all of the witnesses, wouldn't the attorney also then suppose what the judge's outcome would be? Yes, Italian coffee, Segafredo. That's it. Good stuff. Lots of good Italian coffees. So imagine attorney A and attorney B pleading a case in front of the judge. Forget about the witnesses. Attorney A says, Judge, attorney B is going to say, ba, ba, ba. I'm going to respond with this. The attorney B is then going to bring this witness. I'm going to bring that witness. And, here's what I think the outcome is going to be. Attorney B says, well, Judge, attorney A is going to bring this witness, and the attorney A is going to bring his whole case and discuss all these points, and I'm going to have my counterpoints, and here's what's going to happen, and here's going to be the outcome. Here's my opinion of the outcome. There's attorney A's opinion of the outcome. Judge, you're the judge. You decide. You rule on it. The judge is going to say, attorneys, I've listened to what you think could be the outcome and what you think, and all of your facts make a lot of sense. How about if we meet in the middle somewhere and we call it a day? That's it. You wouldn't need all the expense of all the trials. You wouldn't really need all the witnesses. You wouldn't need anything, because the attorneys and the judge are going to sit down and go through all these hypothetical scenarios. It's crazy stuff. I know I took a step backwards. That's all right. Denny, if the whole U.S. crypto market is related to this case, couldn't it be possible that everything, BTC and all the other coins, digital assets, altcoins, is just waiting on the moment on what will happen to the case? But if they'll settle, it's not related to all coins anymore, right? So that's a good point too, right? Right now, one of the things that we've seen, and Stuart Alderati, who is the Ripple attorney, actually came out and stated that this fact, right? That this case is more than just Ripple. This case is Ripple and the crypto community. It's XRP and the crypto community. Whatever the outcome is, that outcome could potentially then be applied to other assets. It's interesting. So we talk about it again. I feel like we're in some weird kangaroo court environment that I'm kicking back and watching this stuff unfold on TV. And you're like, oh my God, how is this even possible? Some of the statements that are coming out. Thank God for some of the smartest minds in crypto that are floating around our channel and on the chain and floating around the space in general. James Fillon, Jeremy Hogan, and others. They're just dissecting it. And of course, John Deaton, brilliant. The way he's dissected, the way he comments, the feedback. And he actually put out a letter. Chip and I will discuss that letter tomorrow too. But the brilliance of these guys are bringing to the table from a legal perspective, being able to dig in and analyze what's going on. Thank God for these guys in the space that are passionate about digital. Thank God for Warren Davidson. Thank God for Congressman Darren Soto. Guess what, guys? Warren Davidson is a Republican. Darren Soto is a Democrat. Thank God for both of those guys in the crypto space, because they get it. Thank God for Tom Emmer in the crypto space. There's others out there pushing the positive narrative of what needs to happen. Thank God for Japan. Thank God for Japan. Look what Japan is doing. Look what many other parts of the world are doing in the digital asset space to promote it. Regardless of what you think about El Salvador, they took a major step forward with what they did regarding Bitcoin. Huge. It's huge, right? It's really, really massive. So, all right, we discussed, we dissected, we talked about this stuff. It's really, really cool. July 28th. July 28th. That is the deadline, right? July 28th. Elizabeth Warren gives SEC July 28th deadline to figure it out. Figure out the crypto regulation. 10 years wasn't enough. 10 years. 10 years, the space has been going on. 8 years, supposedly, for 8 years, the SEC has been monitoring Ripple and XRP. They've been monitoring the digital asset space. Okay. But now, guess what, Gensler? Forget about the past 8-10 years, or maybe include the past. You guys have had enough time. Not only have you had enough time, you've had too much time to figure this thing out. Hey, you know what? Again, I'm going to give her some credit. Kudos to her to put it back in their court. You guys, we need answers. Hear the questions and give us the answers. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever side she's coming from, irrelevant at this point. Guys at the SEC, you've had 8 years to figure this thing out. Give us some answers. Then that gets to go in front of Congress, I would hope, to put together some proper legislation. Maybe they'll say, you know what? Warren Davidson and Darren Soto are geniuses. Geniuses. They wrote the Token Taxonomy Act. And along with Ron Hammond, who works for the Blockchain Associate right now, Ron Hammond, those two guys, great. But is this why she's doing it? I don't think so. I doubt she's doing this to protect the retail investor. I doubt it. Why? Because her whole career is based on a lie. So I can't trust that she's supporting me, the retail investor, since she lied about her career in order to get advancements in college and hired based on an outright lie that potentially took that position from somebody else. That's my feeling. That's my opinion. I don't know, but I want to believe that she has the best intentions at heart in order to help bring about true regulatory clarity, right? True regulatory clarity. I would like to see that. I would like to believe that Senator Elizabeth Warren truly has the best interests of the retail investor at heart and this space in general. I hope that's the fact. I hope that's the case. But you know what? I have to agree that as she's throwing this back to the SEC, you've had 8 years, 10 years to figure this thing out. If you can't answer some of these basic questions, then we're really in trouble, right? So, hey, you know what? Kudos to her for putting it out there. There's some interesting stuff. Some of it's a setup. Good luck. It's going to get answered. It's going to be interesting. And it's not just going to be one-sided and lopsided. And there's a lot of other things that need to happen in this space. But thank God that this is all being brought to light right now. Sometimes, bad, good, whatever, you get to sit down to dissect it, discuss it. It becomes really important. So, hey, you know what? The deadline, July 28th, they better figure it out. They better know. And guess what? Gary Gensler taught at MIT. He knows the blockchain space. The question is, are they coming at this with a purpose of helping provide regulatory clarity, or are they seeking direct control? Is there a battle? Someone else brought up that there's a battle between the SEC and the CFTC to make a determination on who has oversight over this new asset class. Two agencies within the government fighting each other for control over this asset class. Who's responsible? Why don't they just stay in their lanes and do what they're supposed to do? I mean, it's very clear what the SEC does, very clear what the CFTC does. Do what you're supposed to do and allow Congress to look at the Token Taxonomy Act and put other forms of legislation in front of Congress to dissect and discuss it. But I think this is a start. This could be a good starting point. This could be a blessing. It could, maybe it won't be. I don't know. Deadline. Answer these questions. Put these questions in front of Congress. Let the battle begin. Let the discussion begin. Chip, we're going to dissect it more, but I think that's a good starting point. You know, again, kudos to her for bringing this to the table and putting a short leash timeline on it. And Gensler, you can't dance around the subject anymore. You have to respond. You have to respond by the 28th. So let's see how that works. You know, so hey, good stuff. Good stuff to come. I'm not against it. You know, I'm actually happy about finally. Let's get some clarity. Let's see where everybody stands. Let everybody put out their cards. Let's understand exactly where everybody stands on all of these things, right? That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with everybody finally revealing where they stand on this subject matter and letting it be discussed and dissected. Nothing at all. So forget about her previous career. Forget about everything that led up to this moment, right? It doesn't even matter what her agenda may or may not be. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're finally calling the bluff. We're calling the bluff and we're figuring this thing out. That's what matters. That's what we want to see. That's what I want to see. Man, oh man, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy, right? Chip, you pushed me down this narrative, I'm telling you. Let's see. Check this out. So with all of this, then we start getting, let's go overseas a little bit. See what's going on. Here we go. China's central bank stablecoins pose risk to the global financial system. Interesting. Who just rolled out the digital yuan? Who is trying to take a power position, economically speaking, with their digital yuan and exert regional influence with said digital currency? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's right. It's China. The digital yuan. Now they're expressing that stablecoins will pose a risk to the global financial system. Why? Because guess what? They can't program it. They don't have control over it. USDC, USDT, is this, again, are they speaking from a perspective that they care about the global financial system? Or are they speaking from a perspective that they're upset that they won't be able to manipulate and control the global financial system? That's what I want to know. According to a senior, now who knows who this senior official is, from China's central bank, digital currencies and specifically stable coins could bring risk to the stability of the payment system. Interesting. They're quite worried by the potential impact of global stablecoins. Interesting. Right? Okay. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Fan Yafei, a deputy general of the PBOC, said that some commercial organizations, so-called stablecoins, especially global stablecoins, will bring risk. Look at this. Risk. Oops. Come on, highlighter. And challenges to the international monetary system. Oh, wait, I left something out. And payments. Wait. And payments and the settlement system. Interesting. Very interesting. The digital yuan is being structured in such a way as through their initiatives, the regional influence initiative is to utilize the digital yuan for, guess what? Guess what? Payments, settlement, cross-border payments, having a leadership role in the international monetary system. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, hey, wait. They're quite worried about this issue. And guess what? They've taken some measures. What are those measures? We don't know. Let's see. Now, there is some concern because if you have a stable coin that isn't truly tied in a 1-to-1 ratio, if they don't have 1-to-1 in an account someplace, you have a legitimate concern. What are one of the assets they bring up that there's a legitimate concern on? Let's see. Oh, Tether. Not saying it is, but there's a legitimate concern. Why? Because they claim that each USDT is backed 1-to-1 by the US dollar cash reserves. However, they've refuted that claim because they say it's value. They might have euro, they might have a yuan, a renminbi, however you want to phrase it. They might have the pound, they might have gold, they might have silver, they might have who knows what in their account. There's been some claims about that. So to me, you know what? That's a legit concern. Sometimes not everything is nefarious when you see it coming out. Many times it comes from a competitive position, a power struggle position, as they single out the negatives, right? The negatives, because they cloak it in a generality. The global stablecoins. They're worried about the impact of global stablecoins. They could come out and say, we're worried about one stablecoin, but they're worried about stablecoins in general. And then they bring it down. They drag it down. And now they're focused on one case, one asset. Granted, it's big. It's large. It's got a lot of influence. So, Ozcon, you keep bringing up, I think you've mentioned that multiple times. I have no idea what you mean by that. Is the Flare network cheating us? I don't even know how to reference that comment. I haven't given them anything. I don't know if anybody has given the Flare network anything. So I don't know exactly how they would be cheating us if we haven't given them anything. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know. Maybe I just did. I don't know. We'll see as things develop. So we don't know what they've done, right? However, in this article, spot on, the digital yuan is coming. Again, competition, competitive. This is what they've been focused on. Is this all it's about? But in this article, they're only focused on one stablecoin, one of the largest. But let's say the world decides and agrees, you know what, the USDT, not pointing fingers in any way, shape, or form. But if the world, the market, the people that are using it finally say, you know what, I'm not using USDT anymore. I'm only using USDC. I'm only using the Binance BUSD. I'm only using whatever. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stable coins out there, but I'm not going to use this one. I'm using all of them. Guess what? It's going to take care of itself. Is it critical, though, going back to the conversation we had before with the world body or a government understanding the fundamentals of that stablecoin? Hey, Tether, do you guys really have 1-to-1? Let's see an audit. Let's see a third-party audit. Can you present the third-party audit to prove that you have 1-to-1? You need a bigger regulatory body to do that. The regulatory body isn't bad. We don't live in anarchy. You need a regulatory body. You need regulatory clarity. Hence, this conversation and the dissecting of this letter from Elizabeth Warren that we'll do tomorrow. Some of it could be purposeful. Some of it is actually important. We need to understand the exchanges. Are the exchanges safe? Are they doing KYC? Are they doing AML? Most importantly, are they doing their due diligence with the coins that they add to the exchange? What due diligence are they doing? What due diligence should the SEC or the SEC in other parts of the world, your comparative, what due diligence should they be doing on these assets to protect the retail investor, to assure that it's not a scam exit strategy to where you buy the asset and they disappear. You put your money on exchange and they disappear. We've seen that a number of times where the exchange leadership disappears. We need that. Regulatory clarity and the rules of the road of how to guide an exchange need to be clear. Now, should the exchange be subject to the same regulation as a platform for stock exchange? I believe so. Why not? Shouldn't they be obligated to make sure that the numbers they're reporting and the exchange numbers are accurate? Shouldn't it be handled in a timely period to where you're not sitting 48 hours? Shouldn't there be some potential cost containment on their side? Not saying the exchange of gas fees and in the asset class is different, but the exchange, should there be some identifier there? I don't know from that perspective. If you want to pay, but the fee should be very obvious. If they need to report what their fees are, they can't just indiscriminately take money from you. Certain things like that have to be clear. You know, having a stable coin that is backed 1-to-1, we need to understand that. We need to know that it's true. We need to know that it's true. So if it is back 1-to-1, then that's what we need to know. But again, you need some regulatory clarity. You need the rules of the road, and you have to have some rules of engagement. Because what if it's not 1-to-1? What happens then? Who is responsible to take action? If Binance says wherever CZ is their headquarters, how do you take action against Binance if they do something wrong? Binance US has an office. We know where Brian Brooks is working. That's important, right? We need that physical address. It's critical when you're dealing with an exchange. And we expect as much. You know, all this other noise that's going around and, Binance not operating in certain countries, there's all this power struggle going on. There's a lot more to this picture than what we see. We see the media reported picture. We don't see the conversation from the regulatory bodies or the lobbyist organizations or the brick and mortar institutions or all of these other things that are going on behind the scenes. And that's happening on a global scale. But you know why all this stuff is being orchestrated, all this stuff is happening right now is because this asset class is advancing at an exponential rate right now. And all over the world, they've acknowledged stablecoins, CBDCs, digital assets, the market, right? What is one of the things we had Adam from Bitru on Thursday night talking a little bit about a new project that they're releasing. One of the things that he said is they want to be more like the banking instrument. Is it too soon? Is it too soon to have banking instrument in a speculative environment where you have, bigger swings in the valuation of the assets? Maybe it's too soon, but at some point we're seeing the direction things are moving in. We've said it for a long time. I've said this for a long time. Chip and I have talked about this for a long time, that the lines are blurred between the banks and the digital asset exchanges. Why? Because the digital asset exchanges are stepping into banking territory. They're allowing you to stake. They're allowing you to borrow. They're allowing you to, earn yield at a much higher percentage than what the banks are. Do you think the banks are concerned that you could go to a Celsius and you can get X return? You can go to Coinbase and get whatever return there. You go to a Bitru or a Binance or a Kraken or a Gemini. You go to all these exchanges and get yield on your money. Do you think the banks are concerned? Because what happens when they're paying 0.5%, 1%, 2%, even 3%? They need to tack higher. If the exchange is always ahead, money, when people are comfortable, right now, mainstream isn't there yet. When people are comfortable, money is going to flow to the new technologies. Money is going to flow over to those exchanges. Why? Because people are getting a higher rate of return. If you can move USDC, put your fiat in USDC, if you're comfortable with that, and put it on Celsius, if you're comfortable with that, you can get, I don't know, somewhere between like 9, 10, 10.5% return on your money when you're getting 0.5% in the bank. If people are comfortable with that notion and you can move your money over, that's what people are going to do. And the banks, of course, they're concerned about that. That's their business. That's their book of business. They don't want to lose that. And at the same time, the regulatory clarity needs to make sure that as people are making that migration, either through this idea of a discussion over regulatory clarity, they're trying to slow it down, they're trying to stop it, or they're trying to make sure that as people move their money, they're protected. Because people do need to know that if you put your money on one of these exchanges, there's some sort of protection in place that if something happens, that you're protected. Not if you have a loss, not if you're playing options or taking margin or anything like that. But if you're just, you have your assets sitting in their wallets, in their cold storage or whatever, and something happens, that they are protecting your assets. That's all that matters. That's what we need to know. Many will still say you're safer on the ledger than you are if you're putting your asset over to putting your asset over to over to the exchanges. So anyhow, you guys are awesome. I can't believe what time it is. I looked before, it's like 8:30. I'm like, 30 more minutes. What are we going to talk about? How are we going to do this? It's awesome. You guys are awesome. Glad you just like stuck with it. We kind of dissected some things, talked about some things, got a little crazy on some things, but that's how it goes. That's how it goes sometimes. So appreciate everybody being here, and make sure you guys, if you appreciate what you're hearing, hit that subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. You guys know what to do because it's very cool. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow night, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we stream live 6 days a week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday through Thursday, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's it. What's up, Stuart from Dubai? Great to see you. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you. And we'll check you guys out on the next one. Dragging it out because I can't find the outro. There it is. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.